Have you ever wondered why you can do all the right things and still not feel any better? Are you tired of feeling like your symptoms control your entire life? Well, what if I told you that there's a moment in every healing journey where everything shifts and it's not from a supplement, diet, or a new protocol? If that sounds like you, you're definitely not alone. So many women with lupus hit this wall: exhaustion, frustration, and lack of clarity on what to do next before realizing that there's a deeper layer of healing waiting for them. Welcome back to the Health Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Holly B. I'm a holistic health guide for women with lupus and other autoimmune conditions who are ready to stop just managing symptoms and start actually healing. In today's episode, we're diving into radical responsibility, what it really means, what it definitely doesn't mean, and how embracing it can become the exact turning point your body has been asking for. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the mindset shift that finally puts you, not lupus, not your symptoms, back in the driver's seat. Stick around because we're answering the big question: what actually changes when you decide to take responsibility for your healing in a way that's empowering and not self-blaming? So let's dive into what radical responsibility actually means and what it doesn't. Radical responsibility is not self-blame or self-criticism. I don't play the blame and shame game. I've been there, I've done that, and I can tell you from personal experience that it definitely does not work. So many women with autoimmune conditions hear the word responsibility and instantly tense up because they're already carrying so much guilt and pressure on their shoulders. I want to start this episode by removing that weight. When we speak about radical responsibility, we're speaking about empowerment, not fault, not blame. It's the opposite of I caused this, right? It's I get to influence what happens next. It's truly the shift from victimhood, which is totally understandable when you feel like your body is turned against you, to taking a leadership role of your own life, which is absolutely and 100% healing. Autoimmune disease often creates a sense of loss, this loss of control, loss of predictability, loss of energy, loss of your identity and who you thought you were and who you thought you were going to be as you move through life. Radical responsibility is the moment when you begin to reclaim that control. It's the moment you decide that you accept that life happens for you, not to you. You accept that you and only you are the creator of your life. You take full responsibility for your circumstances. That means emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And you see every circumstance in your life as a chance to learn and grow. So, when it comes to managing your autoimmune condition, taking radical responsibility is about moving from waiting to participating. Most women are taught to wait. They are taught to wait for a better doctor, to wait for a new medication, to wait for some researcher to find the cure, right? To wait for somebody to give them the answers. Radical responsibility breaks that waiting cycle. It reframes healing as a co creation between you and your body, mind, and spirit, instead of keeping you on a very passive, medical only, expert only journey. So, taking radical responsibility means becoming the primary decision maker in your healing journey. Yes, doctors can offer insight, supplements can offer support, therapies can offer relief, but only you can decide how you speak to your body, what you feed it, how you rest, what habits you follow, what energy you live in. As you embrace this new approach, you will feel the shift from this is happening to me, lupus is happening to me, to I get to participate in my healing. You will also find that the hopelessness that you've been feeling is replaced with possibility. Hopelessness activates the stress response, and healing cannot happen there. We went into depth on this on my recent episode titled Stop Fighting Your Body, Partner with It Instead. I'll link my solo episodes below on the podcast because they're all related in sequence. Embracing responsibility, on the other hand, signals safety and movement, and it builds trust between your mind, body, and nervous system. It tells the brain, we're not stuck, we are in motion, and your body responds to that. Deciding to take radical responsibility is the exact moment that healing begins, because it's the moment that you stop abandoning yourself to the whims of outside influence. Many women have unintentionally abandoned their body and themselves for years. We ignore symptoms, we push through the pain, we silence our intuition, we put our needs last and everybody else's first. We accept patterns in our life that aren't supportive of our highest and best. And radical responsibility is doing the opposite. It's a return to the self. It's a homecoming. It's a reconnection with self and an honoring of your innate wisdom and intuition. Why is this mindset shift essential for autoimmune healing? Your nervous system cannot heal in a state of helplessness and hopelessness. Feeling powerless is not just emotional, it translates into the physiological body. When you believe that you have no influence over your healing, your body stays in a constant low grade fight or flight. What does that mean? It means higher cortisol, higher inflammation, more flares, more pain, worse sleep. Helplessness literally tells your body that we are not safe. Radical responsibility, on the other hand, does the opposite. It signals safety, which allows the body to begin repairing. And taking agency activates the part of the brain that is designed for healing, stability, and clarity. So when you choose agency, your prefrontal cortex lights up. This means decision-making improves, emotional regulation strengthens, your body feels guided, it doesn't feel abandoned. Taking this intentional shift creates a flow of internal calm. It, in other words, stops that internal war and begins internal cooperation. It begins the peace treaty. Most autoimmune patients unknowingly are fighting their body every single day. I've been there myself, and this is society's accepted way of handling serious health issues. Hashtag warrior, hashtag fighting, hashtag F cancer. The attention is really quick. Holly B here. I just wanted to interrupt the podcast to ask you for a quick favor. Can you take just a moment to like and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are listening in on? It makes a world of a difference. And the reach of this podcast, it takes like literally under 10 seconds. So go do that right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And now back to the episode. Good. The intention is to give the patient the power over the diagnosis that they've been dealt. But we take it too far when we let it throw us into constant fight or flight, which creates more disharmony and less space for regulation and healing. So radical responsibility sends the message, hey, we're on the same team now. Let's work together on this. This partnership with your body lowers the stress chemistry and improves immune signaling. In fact, it actually bridges the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Everyone knows they should hydrate, right? They should go to sleep earlier. They should eat whole foods. They should do their grounding practice. They should breathe. They should rest. But knowing is useless if you're not taking action. And radical responsibility turns this knowledge into embodiment. Without the shift from victim mindset to radical responsibility, every habit feels like a battle. But with it, the choices that you make towards healing become intuitive, aligned, and honestly, it just makes everything easier to do. So, how do we approach practicing radical responsibility without triggering overwhelm, which is one of the most common feelings when you have an autoimmune condition? Life itself is overwhelming, let alone all of the things you need to do for self care to help yourself heal, right? The first step towards radical responsibility is starting with honest, non judgmental self awareness. Ask yourself simple questions like, where have I been waiting instead of leading? Where am I handing my power to my diagnosis or to my doctor? Where am I ignoring what my body has been asking for? Creating awareness begins that opening process and relieves pressure. I want you to choose one area to take responsibility for first. I'm a huge proponent of small incremental shifts instead of huge life overhauls. And taking radical responsibility is no different. Shifting from believing that everything happens to me to being an active participant in your current circumstances can be a really big leap for your nervous system to accept. That is why we focus on one area at a time. So start by choosing one area of your health to focus on and approach that area with full awareness of your daily decisions and choices. So you might choose hydration or morning sunlight or getting to bed at a consistent time each night. You might choose grounding. You might choose slow movement. Whichever one you choose, just remember that one small promise builds integrity and momentum. If you're promising yourself to begin a grounding practice daily, even just going outside and grounding for literally 2 minutes every day is huge, right? You don't need to commit to 20, 30, 60-minute practice. That's way too much, right? So begin with one little promise of 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, and that's it. And if you miss a day, no worries. Promise yourself that you'll get back to it tomorrow and commit. And when you show up for your commitments, that helps your nervous system trust you and relax. The next step would be to stop outsourcing your healing to an outside authority. And that doesn't mean stop seeing your doctor. As you are building confidence in your intuition and your self awareness, you will slowly move from, doctor, tell me what to do, to let me learn what my body needs. Doctors and practitioners and coaches and guides are all partners in your healing, but they're not your saviors, right? Responsibility means being the CEO of your body, not the employee. You're in this beautiful growth process of taking full autonomy in your health and in your life, which means that in your healing journey, you get to assemble your EMTs or your excellence management team. You have the final say in who you invite into your journey, and you decide if you need to let someone go from the team or if you need to add in more support. You take in their information and you make the ultimate decisions on what steps are best for you. The next step is to build your radical responsibility muscle by beginning a daily micro practice of listening and responding to your body. This rewires your nervous system to listen to what your body needs from you and to respond rather than react or ignore. Listening, you might hear, I'm tired. In response, I'll rest. Listening, you'll hear, I'm thirsty. Response, I'll hydrate. These tiny moments of responsiveness rebuild self-trust. We did go into this practice in more detail in the previous episode that I mentioned earlier. So refer back to that. The link is in the show notes. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I highly recommend following this episode up with that one. Lastly, you must learn to release the need to be perfect here and replace it with being present. Radical responsibility is not about 100% compliance. It is about showing up for yourself consistently. Small, consistent steps over time builds huge trust in your nervous system and flexibility in your mind and understanding in your heart. Perfect is never achievable. That was a lesson I had to learn. And I'm sure you might need to hear that too. But consistency is healing. Now, let's go over 5 signs that show you that you have moved into radical responsibility. Number 1, you stop treating symptoms like personal failures. Oh boy, that's a big one. Instead of spiraling into frustration or shame, when you have that next symptom, you stay curious and open. Symptoms turn into information and not judgment. Number 2, you stop speaking about your body as if it's attacking you. Another huge one. So your language will shift from my body hates me or my immune system is broken to my body is communicating with me. My immune system is responding to something. This shift alone changes your healing trajectory. Number 3, you make decisions from a perspective of long-term healing instead of short-term comfort. You begin choosing rest over pushing, nourishment over convenience, grounding over numbing. These choices start to become natural to you rather than something you're forcing. Number 4, you feel calmer and more grounded, even if symptoms haven't fully resolved yet. This is really, really important for you to understand. Internal calm shifts before your symptoms do. It's the key sign that healing is beginning naturally and internally. Number 5, you see small shifts that feel like your body is exhaling. Your energy is a little bit more stable. You're getting a little bit better sleep. Your digestion is smoother. You have more emotional clarity. These little micro improvements are proof that your body feels safe and supported.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and interrupt the program for just a hot minute. You know that I'm so passionate about this podcast, but what I'm also really passionate about is helping women with lupus minimize their symptoms, boost their energy so that they can indulge in life again. So if you are a woman who is struggling with lupus, who is sick and tired of being sick and tired, who's struggling to manage your flares, if you're finding that your lupus symptoms are just really getting in the way of you being able to live your life the way you want to, I feel you. I've been there myself and I felt the same way. And what I've found is that there are a certain set of health fundamentals that once applied will support you in your foundational health. They will support you in building and maintaining that energy, minimizing flares, and allowing you to, again, indulge in life and follow your passions. So, if that is something that you are interested in creating for yourself, let's jump on a call together. I will walk you through the process that I use with my clients to get them from sick and tired to strong foundation of health by implementing my Health Bridge protocol. If this is something you're interested in chatting more about, I would love to talk to you. Apply for a free clarity call with me, and I look forward to getting to know you soon. And now back to the episode.
Let's talk about the emotional side of this and where the resistance to responsibility comes from. In observing and speaking with many autoimmune women over the last few years, I see the divide between the women experiencing their circumstances from a victim mindset and the women who have scaled over that enormous wall to the other side of radical responsibility. And for myself in this journey, I spent years in the victim mindset, believing facts and reality, and that much of my circumstances had nothing to do with my choices that I had made or had chosen not to make. I was dealing with the hand that was dealt to me. And I wasn't ready to open up to a different way of experiencing and moving through life until I was. It was a bit of a paradigm shift. When I was stuck in victim mindset, there wasn't much that anyone could say to convince me that there were other possibilities. My body hated me. Fact. Chronic fatigue would keep me from doing XYZ. Fact. The list goes on. And by no means was limited to just my health. It spanned into all aspects of my life and what was possible for my future. There's no shame or judgment in being stuck in victim consciousness. Most of us aren't born with the natural ability to live by radical responsibility. But because you are here and listening to this podcast, I know that your mind is open to a different way and a different approach to your health and to your life. And that is what I'm inviting you into. That paradigm shift will have you experiencing life from a whole new perspective. I've been there. I understand that making that shift can be scary. Responsibility can feel very dangerous when you've been dismissed by doctors. If your concerns were ignored or minimized, taking charge of your healing may feel really intimidating or even very triggering. It can also feel exhausting when you are already overwhelmed. Many women fear that taking radical responsibility means doing more, but in reality, it actually means doing less, but doing it with more intention as you learn to tune into your body and allow it to become the guide in your healing journey. Moving into responsibility can also bring up a lot of grief because it often forces women to acknowledge what hasn't been working. And that can be super painful because we might have committed to a specific path. And it's really hard to admit when things aren't working. But acknowledging and feeling that grief is a part of the healing process. Taking responsibility can also feel really heavy if self-blame has been a lifelong pattern. Taking radical responsibility for your current circumstances does not mean that you are to blame for everything that has happened in your life. When I work with my clients, an important concept that I teach them is the art of surrender. And it's all about knowing what is yours to own and what isn't. Sometimes it's really hard to discern what is something that you need to own and what is something that's outside of you that you only need to own your response to. So, what is yours? Your thoughts, your actions, your reactions and your responses to things, the situations in your life that keep repeating time and time again, those are things that you need to own. But what's not yours are other people's thoughts, other people's actions, reactions, and responses, and the situations in their life that keep repeating, and situations that are truly outside of your control. In taking radical responsibility, you may identify situations in your past that you aren't happy about. There may be nothing that you can do about it in present day, but what you can choose is to move forward with awareness that in the future you will respond differently. You may also realize you are taking responsibility for other people's actions and situations, and that may have contributed to your current situation. And again, you can't change the past, but you can take small steps towards taking responsibility for your own thoughts, choices, and actions, and letting go of the thoughts, choices, and actions of others. Can you feel how much space that can free up in your nervous system? Just exhale with me as you let that sink in. We don't realize how much of other people's things we take on ourselves. And taking radical responsibility is truly love in action, both for yourself and for others. There is a big identity shift in going from a sick person to the healer of my own life. Radical responsibility truly is an identity level transformation because you're stepping out of the identity of I'm broken and into the identity of being the healer of your own life. Your choices start to become aligned with who you now know that you are. As you develop the practice of radical responsibility, your choices will become aligned with who you now know that you are, not who you used to be. And once identity shifts, habits shift so much more effortlessly. And this identity makes healing sustainable because you're no longer chasing all of those quick fixes and constantly looking for someone to tell you the magic formula or prescribe the magic pill. You're building a life that supports healing moment by moment. It is this shift that marks the true beginning of your healing journey, you guys. It's not when your labs improve. It's not when symptoms reduce. Those are the results of changing this identity. Radical responsibility is the shift that marks the true beginning of your healing journey. It's not when your labs improve. It's not when your symptoms reduce. Those things are the results of taking on this new identity. When you reclaim ownership of your health story and your life path, that is the moment that everything changes. So, this was a really quick deep dive into radical responsibility as it applies specifically to your autoimmune journey. But we actually dive even deeper in this in my coaching program. And it is by far the most important and life changing section that I go through with my clients. This is the work that lays your foundation for a new health and life trajectory. And it sets the stage for all of the other fundamental lifestyle shifts to actually take hold and improve your energy, reduce your flares, and allow you to shine your light bright again as you move forward with strength and purpose. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are walking away with a deeper understanding of what radical responsibility really is. It's not pressure, it's not perfectionism, and it's definitely not self blame. It's a return to your power, it's your intuition, it's beginning a partnership with your body. So, if this episode spoke to you and you are ready to turn this mindset shift into real physical healing, I would love to support you. You can apply for a healing breakthrough call using the link in the show notes. This is where we can take a look at your symptoms, your patterns, and your nervous system and map out what your healing pathway could look like. Don't forget to grab my free daily lupus guide and symptom tracker if you haven't already. It's a perfect companion for today's episode, and it also applies to any other autoimmune condition, not just lupus. Until next time, take a deep breath, give yourself grace, and keep building your bridge back to health. I promise you, you are doing better than you think, and your healing truly can begin the moment you decide you're ready to lead it. We'll see you next time on the Health Bridge podcast.